Okay. All right. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to stop to share, and I wanted to talk to you guys about some stuff that I did in that training. I did it in the training, and I also wanted to talk to you guys about something just to consider because I'm starting to see in my organization leaders are starting to emerge. Some of you guys are being very consistent. You're recruiting, you're sampling, and I'm watching the numbers happen. And I wanted to talk to you guys about. I'm gonna use a dry erase board too. Is something that I passionately and affectionately call the tipping point. Okay. Because I don't think, because you guys have all seen me do the power of one presentation where if one got one each month, right, would be 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. But in my career, and this is pretty much held true as far as I've been in, is when you start your business, your effort level is always at the, you have to be at the very top of your effort level. But your results down here, which we'll put R for results, are kind of seem minimal, right? And it just kind of goes like this, and you'll have people come in and quit, and some won't stick around. Like the same people that got you usually to your first promotion are not the same people that get you to your next promotion, and so on. And the thing that I've seen work for everybody in any business or any company I've ever been in over all the years is has to do with consistency. The people that are most consistent, it's not even necessarily their skill level or whatever. It's just their consistency of introducing a good message to somebody. And then they're not being the message, but being the messenger. That process speeds up. Okay. But what I wanted to talk to you about is I've noticed in my career that if I can get about 100 to 150 people total in an organization, that the law of large numbers and the percentages of more active people, I wouldn't even necessarily call them leaders. Leaders are kind of a thrown around buzzword, but more active people takes your business from this to like this. Like it literally, right when you get to that number, it all of a sudden starts to take off. So that's so like when I launch any business, I put in my head, I got to recruit 20 to 40, 20 to 40 people as fast as possible in the first 6 months, right? I'm able to do it faster now because I got more context and I do a little more tweaky things. But if you don't focus on, because I see people a lot of times when you get people in, there's one thing of training them and getting them set on the right path. But the problem is I see a lot of people, as soon as they get, they start recruiting people and they put 3, 4, 5 people in, all of a sudden they put their recruiter hat down, they put on manager hat, and their business slows down because they're just trying to cater to those people. I never stop personally enrolling people because you never know when those people are going to take off, right? Because if you look at, like, I had the best training I ever heard, or not best, but one of the coolest things I ever heard when I first started network marketing was the very first training I ever went to. And it was in like 1997-ish, right? This is years ago. I drove to Atlanta with a group of guys for a 2-day thing. And this guy in this really good hillbilly accent who was making like 50 grand a month said, he goes, I'll tell you what, you can't control how many tomatoes a tomato plant produces. You can only control how many tomato plants you plant. And I laughed and I wrote that down, but it's something I never forgot because at that point in my career, I still thought there were other secrets to the business. I thought there were some other people doing things differently than what they were saying on, in front of the room, right? And I used to consistently and constantly look for that. And then it really dawned on me probably in my second company when a guy I was in my mid 30s. This guy was still in his 20s, and we'd been he'd only been in the business maybe 3 or 4 months longer than me. And he'd been in his group. I had maybe 500 or 600 people in my group, and he had like 25,000. And I couldn't comprehend it. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why, like I go to the meetings, I do everything. And he's like, well, how many people have you personally sponsored? Right. I said, maybe 10 or so. I said, but I've been really working with those people. Right. I've been working with those people. And he said, I'm going to show you something. And back then we didn't have downline reports in our back office because computers weren't out really. We had a paper, your paper report of your downline. And on there, the very first page would show you all of your personals. And what was so amazing, he says, I want you to look at something and tell me if you notice anything. And I said, okay. So I look at it, and it had like all of the names, like the names are right here of all the people in the business. And then next to them was like the number of people they'd sponsored. So this guy had 0, this guy had 0, this one had 1, 1, 0, 0, 4, 18, 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, right? And I went through, and this guy had 82 personals that he had enrolled in just over a year, right? It was just a little more than a year. And then he said, now I want you to do something. I want you to go look at the people here that you see on my report that have more than 10 people. So let's say this guy up here had 22, right? So I went through of his 80 people, and there were maybe 5 people of the 80 that had, 10, 20 more people. And then I went and looked. And so this guy with 22, take a wild guess what the ratio looked like with him. Almost identical. 0, 0, 0, 1, 5, 0, 0, 3, 40. 0, 0, 0, 1, 11, 60, and then he goes, now go look at those guys. And I literally sat there for probably 20 minutes going through this huge report. And I kind of, after I did that, I just sat back, and he said, he goes, I only focus on things I can control. I can't tell the duds from the studs, the zeros from the heroes. So all I do is do the best job that I can to be a good recruiter. And then the ones that want to do it. The ones that don't. And I kind of sat back, and I took a deep breath with that, because I know that we all take responsibility for the people that we enroll, and you should. But at the same time, if you want to grow a big, fast, aggressive business, never, ever stop. Like 80% of my time is on personal recruiting, because again, the tomato plant story. You can't tell who's going to develop into something. You can't tell the duds from the studs. And the other thing is you can't tell or dictate when a plant matures. Okay. Like the company Cowrie and I were both in, when we were both in Zango, I sponsored my 2 biggest guys in my entire organization were both in for 6 months before they took off. The two biggest. One was this Amish 27-year-old Amish kid that you guys some of you I know are in Zango remember, Dan, and he got in. When I talked to him, and he looked at it, he got real excited, he signed up, and I couldn't find him forever. I literally called my dad, who lives up where he lives in the country, and tracked down Dan's address. And I said, I need you to drive out there and go to Dan's house and see if you can get a hold of him. He went like 3 different times to try to, because they don't have phones, because he's Amish. And he finally got a hold of Dan. I said, tell Dan that I'm doing meetings at such and such place. And Dan ended up coming. We had like 11 people there. And he's like, this looks pretty good. Dan got his checkup in 8 months from that point of not doing anything in 6 months. 8 months later, it was over 7,000 a month, right? The other guy who even had a bigger group was Joe. And Joe was a pro football player who got in only to do the product and was completely animate about not doing the business. Like, don't even bother to talk to me, da 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 da. And he was a customer for 3 months, 90 days. He was a customer. And then he ended up feeling better and mentioned it to one other guy, who mentioned it to a homeopathic person, a doctor that ran his own clinic up in a hometown of ours. And then they invited me to come up and talk. I did. And within probably 6 months, Joe built it, had already a couple hundred people had come in, right? But going back in time, if I would have, if I would have been doing, if I was doing this, if this was me at the top or this is you at the top, and I put Dan in, I put Joe in, and I put two more people in, and I was like, oh crap, they haven't done anything, they haven't done anything, they haven't done anything, they haven't, this thing doesn't work, right? So my growth chart goes like this and goes bleep and down, right? It just dies. But I kept on recruiting, and then I brought in my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law ended up getting like two or three people in, and that was encouraging, right? I was like, wow, that's cool. And then I brought a couple more people in, and then this guy over here was from Florida, and he brought some people in, and a couple of them were actually started to work the thing, right? So it started to kind of get a life. So I was making enough money here to make the opportunity worth my while by personally enrolling people, right? But then I was waiting down the road for the maturity of the tomato plants, but I kept throwing water and fertilizer on a few of these, right? Then all of a sudden, this guy, Joe or Dan, goes out and puts a couple $100,000 worth of volume in my organization. Then Joe does this. Joe himself, I didn't make any money on Joe except for a monthly auto ship for probably 90 days. Then started. I estimated Joe himself, the organization that guy built, put over $600,000 in profit in my pocket. 600,000. The problem is if I would have just stopped right here and been disappointed, then it wouldn't have taken off. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if you guys, because I see who's consistent with being on these calls and the trainings and stuff. And with the timing we have, and I'm going to call on Calorie now on this one, but with the timing we have, I went through, so this morning I went through my back office, and you can, if you go to account details, then organization, you can see how many people you have on each level, right? And then, so what I did is I went and I think I enrolled like at the very end of January, if I come to think of it, like the last couple of days of January. And I looked at how many people I had, and I put the, wrote the number down. Then the next month I went through and looked how many. And every month, which is the good news, right? It's consistently gone up. Obviously, I've put more personals in. I see level one is more each month, but the percentage of growth is now starting to go, instead of next month it went like this, the following month it went like this, and then the following month it went like this, and last month it went like this, because I'm pushing that tipping point, right? And I just think that that's something that people don't understand. Like there's literally millions of dollars potentially at the end of if you push to that tipping point. Like that's the one thing I focused on when I figured that out from that kid, that guy I sat down with, of looking at his numbers, that I personally, and I had not done the Zango business yet. What I had done was, in my mind, I realized that was the tipping point. It was my freedom number. My freedom number was an organization of 100 plus people. That was I could call my shots. I'd make enough money, that kind of thing, and it's never failed. But in my head, I was like, if I got to sponsor all 100, I'm going to do it, which sounds a lot like most people, right? But that was the mindset I had, and I said, if it takes me 3 years to do it, I'm going to do it, right? That was how I did. I didn't put like, hey, I got to do it by this weekend or I'm a failure, but I put it down there. But by having that mindset of knowing what the reward is at the end of that work, by putting those people in, I couldn't, like I said, couldn't tell who was going to do what when. It set me up, and I compressed time. I compressed time of the size my group would grow quicker. I got it to the tipping point faster, and then it went like that. And every single company I've been in, like when I was in that one company, I remember at one point I was just as hard as I could. I was sponsoring, and I think I put like 30 or 40 personals in, and my group was like 55 people. so so I put like 40 in and had like no duplication, nothing. And it wasn't like I wasn't saying, "Hey, I'll help you. Hey, whatever you need. Hey, call me with the three-way." Right? It's just people operate at their own level when they want to. And what I did is I stayed that, but then the following month, all of a sudden it went from 35 people or 55 people to like 75. And then it went from 75 to like 190. And I was like, wow. And nothing had changed. I did not do anything different than being consistent on that. Cowrie, it's your turn to talk, buddy. So you like how much you've been in a couple companies. You tell me, give me some of your examples of what I'm talking about that might, and if you want to go against what I said, that's fine too. But you know, I mean, from the, because you've seen the leaders that you had. Let's just go with APL, with the people that you've had come on board. What would you say you've seen so far, and some of this stuff playing out?
Well, first of all, thanks for throwing these events weekly, Mike. They're always fun to jump on when I can. And I do have something. I've got to get to the gym soon, so I'm going to make this fairly quick. I I think one of the biggest things we have on our side is our product line. And I've been in a bunch of companies where I felt like I was pushing people all the time. You know, sign up, try the product. No, just go mix it up. You're not mixing it correctly. Read the science. We have a product that pulls in the marketplace. And one of the things that really impressed me with this company was when I got in and brought a few people in, there was no barrier for them to take the product. Usually people have to research stuff and figure stuff out. This is a product that's so simple for people to take. And at that point, we didn't have a lot of testimonials. I was just hoping that people would have these experiences. So to go along with what you're saying, Mike, is when you build enough and you get enough people involved, sometimes, yes, I do focus on numbers, but I focus on getting the product out to as many people as I possibly can. And I've always believed that if I knew my product worked, they would know that I knew. Now, they may not have their own testimonial, but it was so important for me to get product out to people's hands. And so to answer your question, Mike, I was amazed at how quickly the organization grew. I'd go into my back office and I remember seeing like 10 people there. And then 2 weeks later, I had 42 people there. And it kept growing. And what I noticed was that people were generally excited about an opportunity with a very new product line. They didn't know how the compensation plan worked. They just had a vision. They just had a goal. They had a why they're doing the business. And it really powered them from day to day. And what you're saying is so important. If you're consistent and you take consistent action, don't worry about the failures, because there are no failures when you're doing this business. You're going to have people tell you no. It's part of the process. You just say, who's next? And you move forward. You keep moving forward. You keep pushing. A couple of people that I can think of, one gal I want to give you an example of. When she and her husband got in, they came in from a company that they were doing CBD. She got involved, and almost everybody in her current organization that she was currently working in, she wanted to leave and come to APO Go, told her no. So she felt like she had to start all over again. So she started building, and it was a slow process. But at the Las Vegas event, she got up on stage and had, I think, $6,000 monthly check. And she developed that in 4.5 months, right? Just from scratch, just from being consistent and talking about the products, talking about the opportunity. So I would say Mike's been just a great example. Mike can recruit. I don't recruit like Mike. I'm not as prolific as a recruiter, but what I am is consistent. I work with leaders. I have a goal every month to bring in 3 diamonds. That's my goal every single month. It's not a huge number, but consistently over a long period of time, you're going to make millions of dollars. And I've told people this, there is a pot of gold for you at the end of this rainbow if you're willing to do the work. We're so young. We're still in pre-launch. We have all these markets opening. We're going to bring on some medical advisors into APO Go soon. We're working on some company-wide systems. Mike's systems are incredible, but with the company-wide systems, they're going to correlate with your back office. So you're going to see some new reports coming out. You're going to see new autoresponders coming out, new welcome kits coming out. All of these things are happening just to power your business and help it grow faster.
I'm so glad you brought that up about the systems, because I actually don't like to have to build systems all the time. Right? I'm just used to it because most of the companies don't have anything together. But we were on the and you guys need to get, all of you guys hearing my voice and watching this, you need to get to corporate director as quick as you can as a major goal, because once you do, you're invited into a special corporate director and above group, and we get on Zooms like once a month or so, or every other week. And, we have corporate people on there and we go over, if there's an issue going on or what the next vision is or what we're going to do, and so on. And James was on there, the new guy from corporate. How excited are you to have James heading this stuff up? I told him literally I told Cowrie this with James on there, that I have a man crush on James because of, the systems that I think this guy's going to bring out for us to use. Like, it's going to make this thing even easier. Like, that's what's so amazing.
And Mike, if I can interrupt before I leave, I was on a Zoom with Sergey yesterday, and he was back in Eastern Europe, and he had his top programmer on the Zoom, and James, and he was asking James questions. James, in the U.S., how do you guys think? How do you process this type of information? When you go to this report, does it make sense? And usually the answer is no, it doesn't make sense. How can we change this? So he gave James about 4 assignments of where to go in the back office to make changes, so that when we log into our back office, we can see exactly what needs to be done. For instance, auto ship isn't clear to a lot of people. When you sign up for auto ship, it doesn't run until the next month. So if you want to sign up in auto ship in 3 days and you put it on the 27th of May, it's not going to take effect until the 27th of June. There are little things like that that are really big issues that are kind of holding us back from getting to the next year. So James was tasked with getting those done. And I was really pleased to see Sergey say, I trust you. Here are the keys to my car. You can talk to my programmer and get what you need to get done. I will watch you to make sure that you don't sink my company. He didn't really say that, but I know Sergey. But Sergey's like, what do America need? What do they need? Because America is the country that we're going to ride all in on. So we're very early in the party with a really great company. With that, Mike, I've got to take off, but thanks for doing these calls. Yeah. I appreciate your leadership, and I look forward to the event.
Hey, you hit national director, didn't you?
Yeah, I hit national director. I actually hit it a while ago, but I'm going to make a run for international director. Okay. So I'm going to tell everyone, in this promotion, you can not only use your personals, you can use their personals to qualify for corporate director, national director, international director, or above. You probably won't see another promotion like this as far as anything to do with ranks. So if you want to hit it, I really encourage you to do that. Once you get to corporate director, you're kind of on the inner circle of the company, and there's so much talent on this team. So take the time. You've got 7 days to do it. Call people, talk about the product, and talk to Mike about how to qualify. And again, once you get in, you have that title for life, but it opens the door to the inner circle of this company, and we need your leadership. We have probably 23 people that are international directors, or 28 people. We need at least 100, a good solid platform over the next couple of weeks, a couple of months to get moving. So, and one last thing, Survivor. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at Survivor. Yes, it's crazy. We have a crazy owner that's kind of like a big kid. And I'm going to tell you, Sergey likes fire, he likes explosions, and he loves people. So I know the event's going to be a little bit crazy. It's a little pricey, but my wife already can't wait to get rid of me. So she's getting me ready to go. So anyways, thanks for having me, Mike. I'm gonna peace out.
Thanks, Cowrie. Big round of applause for Cowrie.
Bye, everyone.
Good job, man. Awesome. All right. So I would love to hear some of you guys' comments, because just real quick before you do anything, remember when I talk about those numbers and stuff, that still holds true for customers as well. Like, that's what's nice about this is if somebody goes out and gets 10 customers, 20 customers, 50 customers, I guarantee you some of them are going to go, hey, I've been having good results with this. I'm going to talk to somebody about this. Bridget, am I right? You weren't going to do this as a business. You, in fact, said you were not going to do it as a business. Go ahead, unmute and tell me. Tell everybody else listening.
Yeah, I was adamant. I was done with network marketing. Excuse me, wanted no parts of it, and I just wanted to feel better. So I remember I reached out. I was like, "Ah, please don't try to recruit me. I don't want any parts. I just want to use the product. I want to see if it helps and just use it." And it was after, I mean, I had such, well, when you guys know my story, I had such an amazing result very quickly. It was truly life changing. And it's still like, I took my mobility for granted, completely took it for granted. And when I got it back, just how can you not share that with people? I mean, really, like in my mind, like I have an obligation to share this with people. So
Right.
I do get questions about the business. I can't answer a whole lot about the comp plan other than it pays out 63%. And, you know, I could say binary, unilevel, binary, dynamic compression. Any other questions, call Mike, or here's a video. I'm really good at not answering questions because I don't have time. But yeah, it's hard not to do this business.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Well, does anybody have anything to say? Any comments, questions, anything like that before we end it? I know it's a Saturday and it's nice out here. I know a lot of you guys are probably getting decent weather finally, and it's kind of cool. And I do appreciate everybody being consistent, being on here, and just encourage your people to get on these, participate, that kind of thing. And by the way, if you have anybody that has like, just so you guys, I would like to also throw this out there that if you have people that upgrade or hit like diamond, let's make it a big deal inside our Facebook group. Okay, so if you have something like Bridget, I know you just hit you got your status up to diamond. A bunch of us already were, and things like that. And if you need me to make an image of somebody in your team to recognize people, because right now I think what's about to happen is I'm now from a group standpoint, is we're going to start to see the enough people in the group that we're going to be able to recognize more and more people on a regular basis. And that's a big driving force for a lot of people. And I want to recognize, I want to recognize people for everything. If when they come out with customer stuff, if somebody gets has 10 customers, let's shout it from the rooftops, because that's what drives these businesses anyhow, is customers. It doesn't, nobody, I mean, if you have 1 million customers and no one is working the business, who cares? Right? I'll take 1 million loyal customers over 1 million people that maybe jumped in and try to do an MLM deal, because those people will fade off, but the customers are stable. Like if I go and look at the data of some of the biggest companies out there that are nutritional based, that really have a good community around their products and stuff like that, those companies are stable. Those people's incomes are stable because of the right, the right rewarding, the right activities of getting customers. So I think with what they're going to come out with customer wise too, I don't know if the company's ever going to do it to where we'll be able to just order drop ship straight from them. But it's pretty, they got some really good stuff in the works. But we're just like, I kind of feel it. I'm starting to kind of feel it. I mean, it was really encouraging for me today to look in my back office and see the numbers, from where it was and that kind of thing. Because, networking, especially those of us who have done this stuff before, you can get frustrated thinking this does, it's not going as fast as I want. Well, it doesn't seem like it's going fast because most of us have been doing this kind of business for years and we are starting over kind of thing. So it doesn't, of course it doesn't. But if you're a brand new person, you get 2, who turns into 4, who 8, 16, 32, and so on. I mean, it's really exciting, and that's what's going to happen. I'm just telling you, just hit that tipping point. So anybody else got anything, comments, questions? Now's the time. Are we good?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, your consistency, and you're always available for phone calls and texts. I don't know how many times I had you on the phone yesterday, but that you kind of leading this team really makes a big difference in helping all of us grow. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate you.
I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you very much. So anyhow, I'm going to do a lot to promote this event. Okay. I believe that we can have the biggest. So there was 250 people in Vegas. Paul, you were there. I know Ben Lemmer was there. I think we can do more than that. Like I've got it set up right now, and that's why I want to get tickets sold as quick as possible. But I'm gonna promote the heck out of it, because if you can promote an event and you build for it, okay. So here's let me tell you why I picked July too. July is in the middle of the summer, pretty much, right? But if we stay consistent right now and build towards it, and you hit that event, coming out of that event will push us into the busiest season of networking, which is the fall. It is what it, I mean, I've seen these ebbs and flows for 25 years. Okay. So having an event like that and having people get in there and building that energy and that synergy, plus we'll have tons of videos to be promoting out there. I'm going to do video interviews with tons of people that come there, images, pictures. You can get, you get photos taken with everybody. I mean, the content that you can use for your own, telling people that something big is happening and stuff like that. And then I believe too, by doing a big event like this, in the fall, probably Octoberish, we'll do another one that'll be massive with like 1,000, 2,000 people. I'll have Sergey here, have everybody, and it'll be like people will they will be attracted to come to our businesses or come to our team. Like we'll be able to say, hey, our team put 2,500 people in a room, and they'll be like, wait, what? People want to interact, human interaction again too, I believe. I think we're getting to that point that people are going to do that. And this is going to be kind of a launch point. And I expect you guys to be the leaders. Like, it's not going to be the Mike Healy show. I'm just kind of what do you call the guy that does the orchestra at the beginning front? Maestro. Come on. I'm going to be like the maestro. I'm just going to point, and people, you guys are going to be the leads on this stuff, right? Like, expect to be the leader. Expect that you're going to have 20 people at an event. Expect to have 50 people at an event, that kind of thing, because events drive the business. And I'm going to do a lot of training on events, because in the past, when I've done them, that's what drove my business, because you get people over those humps, right? And it'll probably end up down the road, it'll be like a quarterly big event. And then if a group shows up in another area, I'll come in and host a whole event and put it all together, and we'll drive traffic to that. So I think that's where we can be. And then you guys can eventually do your own local things if you get local groups and stuff like that. So I can see this right now with where we're at, that, I really think a lot of you guys, if you just work this thing and stay as consistent as you're doing, you'll have big organizations with tons of customer volume and lots of money coming in. I mean, it's going to be amazing, I think. So we all good? I just kind of.
Hey, Mike, I just want to quick piggyback what Bridget had said is thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what, just couldn't be on a better team and a better leader. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate Stacy and what you guys have done, and continually doing that. So can't ask for anything more. Thank you.
No problem. I totally appreciate it, and glad to help. All right. So anybody else? Anybody? Kim, Kelly, Ada, Sarah, Suzanne, Kim, Angie, anybody? All right, just double checking.
Mike, right. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Kim. Can you email me the information for the trip in July?
Teamregional.com.
Teamregional.com. Got it. Thank you, Mike.
Does everybody now understand why I make URLs that are easy to remember? Teamregional.com. Yeah. So there's just brief information up right now. I will have a speaker thing. I'll have a thing, and it'll probably be, even though it's just a Saturday, I will post that there's going to be a Friday like meet and greet at that hotel. What's nice about that hotel, because I've done it in the past, like when people come into town or they come in the night before on Friday, they have a really nice lounge area with a nice bar, and they have hors d'oeuvres a lot of times just on the house. It's a nice socializing area, so we can do that. And if they for some reason would not let us do that, it's right up the street from one of the biggest places in Columbus called Easton that has all the cool restaurants and stuff. But that's what I like, to keep people in one spot. So I'll let you know. So maybe just consider that there'll probably be a Friday night thing, and then a Saturday all day thing. And I'm going to start it at 10. That way people that maybe are driving 3-4 hours in the morning, if they leave early, will do it. And I'm not going all day. I just don't have the attention span for it. So I'm shooting for like 3 o'clock. Right. and then I'll figure lunch out, whether it's, you know, if I get enough people that come in and we get the costs covered, maybe I'll figure out how to get packed lunch, box lunches for everybody so nobody has to leave or something like that. Just make it fun. So it'll be cool. So, and then I expect all you guys to volunteer to help. So,
Mike,
yes,
excuse me, can you repeat it one more time? I'm typing it in.
teamregional.com.
Regional. Got it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So awesome. All right, guys. Anything else?
Hey, buddy, I want to officially welcome, not welcome, but congratulate you guys on 25 years, man.
Thank you. Stacy and I had our 25th wedding anniversary last week. So it was awesome. Seems like just yesterday, to be honest, which is good. It is nice. It sure helps that we get along because we see each other every day. Like literally we've since day one and we've seen each other pretty much every day, all day.
Yeah, the cool thing is that your before and after picture didn't look that drastically different.
That's true. That other one was the one on the right was probably about 5, 6. No, it's probably about 5 or 6 years older than that. But yeah, well, thank you. Thanks, Tony. All right, we good? All right, let's go rock this out. Let's go close this month out good because it's you can still push for those promotions and things like that. And then if anybody's got any questions, ideas, don't hesitate to reach out to me throughout the week. Sound good?
Sounds
Boom.
good.
All right, everybody have a great one, and we'll meet you at the top. Plenty of room. See ya.